I'm Dan Burch with Duplicator Sales and Service. I'm a sales representative and area manager for over 20 years. One of the things that stuck with me over time was a saying by the great religious leader Mother Teresa. And I love this. She said, "Stop talking and start doing." I think sometimes we can get so overloaded with the little things, we don't just go. We don't get up and go. We have so much in today's society with social and mobile media, but people forget that's not the end game. The end game is to use those tools to get face-to-face with the customer. That is so important, and I think people slide away from that perspective. I firmly believe that as a true professional, you have to budget your time. You have to evaluate and develop a game plan. If you look at any successful CFO, CEO, they don't just walk into work and say, "What am I going to do today?" They have a game plan. It can be something as small as budgeting from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, you're going to make sales calls. From 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, you're going to do follow-ups with customers. You have to have a specific game plan to be successful. I think one of the big things a business owner really should focus on is talking in terms of the customer's benefit. You don't walk into a client and you tell them, "Hey, this is how great my company is." You need to listen. That is so critical in any business environment. You have to listen and take mental notes. Learn about the business. When we go in, for example, when I sit down with a client, I want to learn everything I can about their business before I make any suggestions, before we implement any type of a strategy to help them be as cost effective as possible. So you really have to learn about the customer and listen. It's such a critical component of today's business world, is just take time and listen to your customer. There's two different ways a business can increase profit. One is to increase sales, and two is to decrease expenses. Most people forget about the latter. They're always looking for ways to increase sales. I think one thing that I see when I walk into a customer's office, and it's typically you look at the same companies, the people that are struggling, the companies that struggle. And I think if you look at one thing in common, it's the underutilization of technology. They just don't use it. Some will actually have it in their office, and they just don't use the technology. They're still using things that are dated from 20 years ago. Where again, in today's information age, people want information now, they want it quickly, they want it accurately. You know, there was a recent statistic that came out from Coopers & Lybrand that said professionals use between 5 and 15% of their time to read documentation. But they use 50% of their time to find that documentation. Look at the critical waste. If you still use a filing cabinet, you're wasting time and money. The best business practices are one that use the technology to their advantage. Things like scan to email, scan to folder. Now what we can do today is something we couldn't do 5 years ago. You can actually take your iPhone or your smartphone device, and you can actually take that document that you're looking at and print it to your multifunction product. That's amazing. It's incredible. But again, the people that use that technology and use it wisely are the ones that are going to stay ahead of the curve. One of the things I see with my most successful customers is they stay on top of the technology. They're always looking for change, not just for change's sake, but to always use that as an implementation to better their organization. And when their organization is efficient, their costs are down, their profits are up, and they're a more successful company.